I'm over it. I'm over being an adult. I'm over being an adult. I'm sick and tired of it. Being an adult is played out. Nobody told us that adulthood would feel like this. We were promised freedom, stability, security. What we got was exhaustion. Being an adult is so played out because the responsibilities that we have are bad. But because the deals we were sold were broken, we were sold a bad deal as kids. Remember you told your parents, I can't wait to move out of here. I'm so sick of being under your roof. When I get my own place, I'll be able to come in whenever I want. Now I can barely keep my eyes open past 7. If I'm not on the couch drifting off around 8:30, the TV watching me because I'm so tired of adulting, exhausted with adulting. We're working more hours than ever, making less when adjustment feels like inflation, carrying more stress, more debt, more pressure, less time, less energy, and less joy. Adulthood is robbing us of our actual lives that we're supposed to live. I talk about this often here on the Veracious podcast, this hamster wheel that we're in. It's driving us into the ground. And the crazy part about this whole process is that you're probably one of the people, if you're watching my podcast, you did everything right. You probably went to college, or either you got a trade after high school, you started working right out of the way. Maybe you held off on having kids. Maybe even if you had kids early, you had goals in mind. You saved up enough money to buy your first car, get your first apartment, and then boom, 40 years old hits. And it's like we can no longer keep up with it. The money that we're making now is no longer sufficient to even help us stay above water. A lot of people are drowning now. And somehow we're told it's just life. That's what we're told. No, this is a system that's normalized burnout and called it maturity. The lie of the finish line. This is a real one. The lie of the finish line. We were raised to believe that adulthood had milestones. Graduate, get a job, move out, buy a house, start a family, and relax. But the finish line keeps moving. You graduate, now you need experience. You get experience, now you need connections. You get the job, now you're barely surviving. You survive, now you're told to be grateful. There is no arrival, just maintenance. We're paying bills, we're managing stress, and we're on repeat cycle day in and day out. That's not adulthood, that's endurance. I call it the struggle life. It's actually the struggle life because people are struggling so hard just to pay their rent, to pay their mortgages. Kids are still in college. You may have 2 cars with 2 car notes. You may have 1 car with 1 car note. You may have a single bedroom apartment that may be super expensive. You may live far from your job, so that cost of commuting is costing you a lot more money. But you can't find another job now, so you got to stay at the ready. You got to stay where you are. It's endurance, overwork, underpaid, and gaslit. That's what's happening. Let's talk about work. We're told if you work hard, you'll be fine. Remember that? The American dream we always see? You often see it in the comments too. Yep, you're not working hard enough. You just got to work hard. How many jobs do we need to have? How many? Should I have 4 jobs? What should I be? What should I be doing? Should I be an airline pilot? Should I be a helicopter pilot, jet fighter pilot, a stewardess, a waitress? What other roles can I take on? A barbershop? I don't know what else. What else can a person do? You're told to work hard and you'll be fine. Meanwhile, wages stay stagnant. Rent explodes. Healthcare feels like a luxury. Retirement feels imaginary. I often say about retirement now, people that are retiring now, you're just the first to leave the job before me. That means you're starting your second career sooner than I will. Retirement used to mean when I was growing up as a kid, when grandparents retired then, they retired and they weren't working another job. They made enough money and had enough in their retirement that allowed them to age gracefully. Now you go into Walmart and you see the elderly people checking receipts at the door. One lady I saw the other day, she could barely stand and she's making sure she checks your receipt. Stop. No, I need to see your receipt. Let me see your receipt. And I'm thinking to myself, this lady should be home relaxing somewhere. This lady should be on the beach in Florida, enjoying her life. And the crazy thing about retirement is people will say, well, I don't know what I would do if I just sat home. I had a coworker actually say that to me. I can't just sit home after I retire from here. What do you mean you can't just sit home? What's wrong with you? You're working yourself in the ground. And when you say you're tired, you're told that's just being an adult. No, being exploited isn't maturity, it's conditioning. We've normalized being constantly reachable, constantly productive, constantly exhausted. Rest feels like rebellion. Burnout feels normal. That should scare you. Burnout is normal. If you haven't talked to somebody recently and they haven't said that they're exhausted or they're on to their second job, you will probably be trying to figure out, like, where are they getting this money from? How do you don't have multiple jobs or multiple streams of income? How come you're not trying to be an entrepreneur? How come you don't want to open a business? How come you didn't go back to school? How come you didn't get married yet? Where's the baby coming? All these questions we're dealing with. All these things that we're expected to be as adults. Why everyone feels behind. Here's the quiet crisis nobody wants to name. Most adults feel like they're losing, even when they're doing everything right. Tired but can't rest, ambitious but stuck, grateful but resentment, responsible but miserable, and social media makes it worse. Don't go on Instagram. Obviously, to like the Veracious podcast, you should be on Instagram to like, share, and subscribe. I would encourage you to do that. But going on Instagram will make you feel worse because all what they show is the final product, or what is deemed to be the final product. Lamborghinis, fast cars, mansions, $1 million yachts. It's a fantasy world on Instagram. If you go on Instagram, you'll think you're not doing enough. If you go on Instagram, you'll think you need to sit through a 9-to-5 course, pay $2,700 so you can learn from somebody on a TV screen on how to make money on Bitcoin. It'll have you just driving yourself crazy. I would not encourage you to do life comparison on Instagram. You're watching highlight reels while struggling through reality. Comparing your exhaustion to someone else's curated success. So you blame yourself. You think, I should be doing better. I must be failing. I'm falling behind. And I'll tell you something, folks. I feel that way at times. I feel like I should be a lot further where I am in life. I'll talk to one of my friends, or somebody will kind of ground me again and be like, no, you're doing good. You're right where you are. You got things going pretty good for you. But I should be a lot further. There's so much more I want to accomplish. And I feel like I'm on this time clock of life. The system is demanding more than it gives back. Adulthood versus being alive. This is what we're going to get into. Adulthood versus being alive. Somewhere along the way, adulthood stopped being about growth and became about survival. We don't ask, am I fulfilled? We ask, can I afford this month? Joy becomes optional. Rest becomes irresponsible. Dreams become unrealistic. People aren't lazy, they're depleted. You can't thrive in a system that only values output. That's not adulthood. That's slow erosion. You're not living, and don't come on to the chat and say you're living beyond your means, because that usually comes from people who have money. That usually comes from people who are doing well in the financial space. You have people that are doing everything right and they're still struggling to survive. People are quietly angry. Notice how irritated everyone is lately. Short tempers, low patience, constant anxiety. That's not coincidence. It's what happens when people are trapped in cycles they didn't choose, working to sustain lives they didn't enjoy while being told they should be thankful. Anger is often grief with nowhere to go. Grief for time, for energy, for the life we thought adulthood would be. And how do we refine ourselves? We got to get into refining ourselves as adults. Here's the shift that changes everything. Adulthood doesn't have to mean suffering. It should mean agency, boundaries, choice, self-respect. Real adulthood is saying I refuse to build a life I constantly need to escape from. It's choosing alignment over approval, sustainability over hustle, enough over more. That might mean smaller lives, but fuller ones. Less money, but more peace. Fewer obligations, but more intention. That's not failure, that's wisdom. So this is the truth nobody really wants to say out loud. Being an adult, as it's currently designed, is played out. Not because responsibility is wrong, but because burnout isn't a badge of honor. You're not weak for being tired. You're not broken for questioning this. You're not lazy for wanting more life and less survival. The real rebellion isn't quietly quitting. It's refusing to lose yourself while doing it. Adulthood shouldn't feel like ownership and not captivity. And if it doesn't, you're not crazy, you're awake. I hope that message resonated with some folks out there, because adulting is played out. It can be very stressful being an adult. I will say that. I think even when my parents were growing up and during their time, they had a different level of stress, but this is a new beast here. The way the economy is, the cost of things, paying for everyday items that's needed to survive. Groceries have gone up dramatically. If you notice you're going to grocery store, things are $1.02 here, $5 here. You look at your gas tank, that's constantly dropping. Gas isn't super high now, but it can be expensive depending on how far you have to drive to go to work. Cost of insurance is going up. Everything. Adulting is played out. I'm over it. I'm over adulting. I need some type of escape somehow. I don't know, guys. But remain encouraged. Stay focused and stay with the Veracious podcast. Peace.